So how do you create a brand that truly represents who you are and the products you sell, as well as building a business that you can scale online? That is what this podcast will help you do. My name is Henry Kaminsky Jr., and welcome to the Brand Doctor Podcast.
Let me just make this statement loud and clear. Jersey's here, Jersey's here.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another Brand Doctor Podcast episode. Today I have a pretty awesome guest who leveraged branding to create a $4.5 million landscaping company, literally from scratch. So, man, I couldn't wait to get him on the show because, there's going to be so much to learn from him. And I also want to showcase how branding has helped him get to the level of success that he is achieving now. So without further ado, I want to introduce my man, John Cefalu, to the show. What is going on, my man?
Not a whole lot. What's going on with you?
Dude, welcome to the show.
You ready?
So you got to tell us the story from the get-go, man. Like, bring us back to the beginning. Like, how did this all start, man?
So I am not, most contractors you talk to, you're going to hear them say their dad was a contractor, they grew up building, they did all this different stuff. That ain't my story. So, I mean, I started my first business in college. It was actually a charitable soap company. So we were selling soap, and then we were teaching people how to start their own businesses in Africa and doing a bunch of stuff. That was going really well for a few years, and then it just kind of outgrew itself. So I moved to Chicago, got into construction sales, just selling like roof and siding, doors, windows. Loved it, loved the money, but it was just hated Chicago, and moved back to San Diego, got into another sales job that was selling interior construction. So kitchens, bathrooms, the whole 9 yards, flooring. Didn't like the hours, and it was the company I was working for was actually going bankrupt. So ended up leaving that position. At that point, I was literally just trying to figure out how to make $200 a day. So whatever means that was. We tried beating the roulette table. We tried, going around washing windows, went down, tried to catch a few fish for the fish market. And one of the things that we did was just started to mow lawns. So we went out and handed out flyers around the neighborhood we were living in. Got one, turned into two, turned into three, and it just kind of started to make that $200. We're like, okay, everything else out the window. Let's focus fully on this because we're onto something. So we just kind of took the mentality of saying yes, saying yes, saying yes, and getting it done. And so we started this company back in March of 2019. So it's only been like a year and a half. We kind of just grinded through that first 7 months, didn't have any social presence, didn't really have a brand. We're just kind of competing off of going out to as many quotes as possible and any word of mouth and anything we could do. And we were just struggling just because you can't, in construction in general, you're competing against anyone that has a truck and a shovel, basically. Yeah. So you got to set yourself apart in some way. So we built our team, ended our first year at like $290,000. So, a decent year for 9 months of business. But what really turned it around, and it was really right before COVID hit. We started our social media, got on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, and built a website and started to show who we were as a company. So construction is one of those.
So how did you do that?
How did I start all the social channels?
Well, what you guys were as a construction company, like what were some of the things you were doing? Because that's going to be one of the questions.
Mowing lawns to literally, one guy said, "Hey, can you throw a few pavers?" And I didn't even know what pavers were at that point. I literally just said, yeah. We went and watched YouTube and installed them the next day and got going. So the construction we were doing in the JJ's landscaping space is basically anything outside the house. So pavers, concrete, artificial turf, retaining walls, pergolas, outdoor kitchens. Started small, just saying yes. Figured out a way to get them done with people we knew around us and YouTube and just all the things that the younger generation does to learn and to watch things. And that first year was just a grind. So we just went from any job that we could possibly get or say yes to and just figured it out, and found in that process that people really didn't care so much. They cared about the quality, don't get me wrong, but they cared more about how you handled the adversity and how you kind of built the team and who was coming out and how you were communicating with them. So when we made a mistake, which we did countless times because we're not construction guys, we would just always fix it. We'd always find a way to make it right and fix it and show what we were doing.
Sure.
And then we kind of shifted saying, okay, we're more business guys than we are landscape guys. So we found the guys within the city through our suppliers and that were landscaping guys that weren't necessarily great on the business side of it, running it and marketing it and selling it, doing the whole 9 yards. And we kind of figured out that we weren't really a landscaping company. We were more of kind of a sales, branding, and marketing company that was using the tools we had around us to be able to get the jobs done at the highest quality. And construction is one of the least trusted industries that there is. I mean, just because so many guys just go out, pick up a deposit and leave, or don't do a good job and then just leave because there's nothing, don't have insurance. I mean, there's so many people that get burned in construction that no matter who you are or how big your office is or what you have in inventory, you're kind of on the same playing field with everyone because no one's ever met you before. So you're trying to figure out how to sell someone by going into their home and making them trust you on the spot without any backstory, and then trying to kind of front load that. And then if you are a reputable company that does have all the insurance and all of the tools and the guys and everything you need, the license, then you're trying to justify why your price is more expensive than the guy that doesn't have all that stuff and has a truck and a shovel going out saying he can do the same job for 30 to 40% less. So it's just an uphill climb that you can't really get ahead of unless you think differently than the other guys doing it. And that's where I said we kind of started coming into it. We started getting busier as we got more guys, and we had a pretty decent sales strategy and funnel and way we were going out and selling these jobs that we were getting busy at that point. And we got a few lucky breaks on jobs that we probably shouldn't have landed that we did. But that's getting up to that February timeframe of, okay, so we want to be busier. We want more guys. We want to make it easier for our sales guys to go out and have a little bit of trust built before they're just spewing all the stuff about what we're going to do on the job and what we're going to install and how we're going to install it. So Instagram was our first spot.
Okay.
We got on there and we started using Instagram stories to really show who we were and what we were doing, not just on the job site, but when we were at home and when we were in the office and when we were doing sales trainings and when we were hiring guys, and just giving people a little bit of a kind of a spotlight into us day to day, so that by the time we got out there, they already had some idea of who we were and what we were doing and why we were doing it. And then inversely to that, we were also showing the before and after pictures, the progress videos and stuff of the jobs. So we kind of hit all the dots. And at the beginning, we were getting all of our leads through, started on Craigslist, which I don't recommend, but we started there. Then we started going to Yelp and Home Advisor and all those kind of pay to play services. And once again, they say that you're verified, but when we weren't licensed, we were still getting through there and getting the same leads as other guys. So there's really no way to, from a homeowner standpoint, figure out who is qualified based on where they're getting the leads from. And from a contractor side, there's no way to kind of get a leg up on the competition because, quote unquote, no matter how big your company is or what jobs you've done, you're on the same playing field as anyone else, on paper at least. And in the past, contractors, they kind of relied on word of mouth and giving a few referrals. And the secret to that is, nobody in their right mind in the contracting world is going to give you a bad referral. Everyone's going to have at least a couple of good jobs that they're able to showcase and send you there. And especially in outdoor construction, you can just pretty much point and say, yeah, I did that job. And there's no way to prove yes or no unless you want to go out and do a full tour of the city that you're in, trying to figure out who did what and when they did it and how they did it. So getting that so we stopped getting leads from any of those other locations because people started to fall in love with the brand because no other construction company was showing people the full story. And they were just saying, our work is the best. This is what we do. This is how we're doing it. Come by with us. by the time us or our sales guys were stepping onto job locations, people already had the trust barrier broken because they see, oh, we're hanging out at a bar tonight and we're just a couple of normal guys, or here's the employees that we're working with, and here's what it actually takes to get this installed. And the coolest thing from that is not only was the trust barrier broken down, but by the time we're out there, when I'm selling a landscaping job, I never rely on what product we're installing, how we're installing it. I mean, that's basically secondary to working with me at JJ's Landscaping. We pick the products that we're putting into the job after the contract is signed, because no one's focused on what's going to be installed or where it's going to be installed. They just know that they want turf and that they want to work with JJ's Landscaping, or they want pavers and they want to work with JJ's Landscaping.
So what is the focus in the beginning then?
In the beginning of the social media era that we were starting?
Well, of the conversation with the client, right?
So, I mean, the focus always, before, when we didn't have this presence, it was kind of a cold conversation of there's no rapport because of that trust element I was talking about. It's just, I want pavers there, I want turf here, I want a wall there. How much is it going to cost? And you can't break, once you start getting into those things, especially if you are a quality contractor and you throw out a higher price than they're used to or than they've seen from other guys, the door's immediately closed. I mean, you're either going to have to haggle with them and get down to a price that's closer to one of the guys that's not qualified to do the job, but it's all focused on the project as opposed to what the project actually means to them and why they're doing it and why it matters who you work with. So then when we shifted the focus of the conversation from I want turf here, I want retaining wall here, I want pavers there, to, wow, I saw you guys on social media. That last job you did was great, but I also saw that sales meeting that you were in, and that training was awesome. I mean, it just starts the conversation and lets everyone know that you're not just going to focus on what the turf is and where it's going. You're going to focus on my needs as a customer and what I want to do. And you're going to teach me throughout the process because we see that you're being taught through the process and all that stuff. So it shifts the conversation to immediately you're almost a friend and you're there to give advice and you're there to actually educate them on what they're doing. And price doesn't even come up. It's where do I sign and what product are we going to use after we've already agreed to do the job, because they know that we're going to get the job done right, just as a prerequisite to us even being out on the job site, because they've seen it done every day, being able to follow us real time on our social media channels.
Dude, this is like branding 101, man. This is so awesome that it's not coming from my mouth. It's coming from yours.
Yeah, no,
because you're
that's kind of where and the construction industry in general, we're kind of hitting this crazy time, and we're really lucky. I mean, me and my partner to be in this time because everything's kind of shifting. You have the big guys like the Home Depots and the Lowe's and all those that people just trust because they see TV ads. But all the kind of local regional contractors and suppliers and product companies, it's kind of getting into the time where it's a family-run business and the parents are kind of shifting the ownership and the operation of the company to the next generation. And they're starting to see that everything's a little bit different. You can't just rely on word of mouth and proximity of your location and all the different stuff to be able to get customers to come in and keep buying. And at the same time as this shift is happening in the business ownership world of contracting, the same shift is coming where now the younger generation is just now starting to get into home ownership and get into, improving their house and all these different things. And they don't buy the same way that people did, 20 years ago, that higher generation. They do look to what influencers are looking at this brand and what is their social media presence like. So that's where we kind of shifted once we got JJ's to the point where it was just kind of running on its own. We had the process set up and the brand. We had our digital presence rise from 0 to 5,000 followers in like 3 months, just because all organic, no paid advertising, just because people were seeing, these guys are a little bit different. They're not just trying to sell me a backyard. They're trying to create an experience and create a lifelong partnership with a contracting company that's going to be able to serve all of my needs, whether it's through them or through a partner of theirs. And that's where the Buildsters came about. So the Buildsters is the second business that we started that is completely focused on, it's kind of twofold. One is educating homeowners. So creating content, creating videos, doing podcasts, partnering with companies to be able to showcase what the right way to do it is. Whether you're a DIY guy, whether you're looking to improve your house by hiring a contractor, no one really knows no one knows the nitty gritty of construction. I mean, no one knows what the right way to do something is because everyone's kept it a secret for so long. Contractors have been so kind of close to the hip on what their methods and their processes are because it's kind of been something where as if your process and method gets out, you have no competitive edge over the next guy. So we're trying to get rid of that close to the hip mentality, be able to work with people that do see the vision of how important branding is to be able to educate people in the process. And that kind of birthed all of these companies that are having that generational switch, wanting to come and partner with us and work with us and let us handle their marketing and their branding and just everything from what the customer experience is like, just because it's working so well and no one's doing it. It's kind of the last industry that has very little presence and very little focus on why your digital presence needs to be the top priority, because that's how customers are buying these days.
Yeah, that's so important. Let me ask you this. Was there a specific post? Because this business is fairly new, right? It's not like you've been doing this for 5-6 years. Like this is like a baby, right? because it's so new. Do you remember back to like the one post on Instagram that you were like, this is hitting. This is reason. This is why we're doing this.
So it's twofold. So it was our first post, and it was actually our first like full backyard remodel. So we kind of just highlighted it was like a month job, and it wasn't a single post, but it was a single job. So we started posting on our story the full, showing the before, what we're going to be doing here, what the plan is, what kind of materials we're going to be using, how we're going to be doing it. And then we showed all of the progress through it too. So on the day that we poured the concrete, we just were kind of there with our stories, just going, this is what's going on. This is how it's happening. These are the guys that are doing it. And then we got to the point where it was a finished product and you could just see the people that were following what it looked like at the beginning, the before, where the backyard was just run down and brown and there's nothing sitting there, to this beautiful process. They felt like they were a part of it because they saw the whole thing come before their eyes through the stories and through the posts and through everything. And at the same time, our big lucky break in that is that we found the importance of influencer marketing. So I don't know, you probably don't know him by name, but Vinny the Twister is a big social media influencer, has 1.5 million followers on TikTok and 1 million subscribers on YouTube.
Sounds like one of the Italian guys from the neighborhood.
Yeah. And that's kind of what it started as. We ran into him at Home Depot. So my foreman was out there and he knew who he was because he has a big Hispanic presence. He knew who he was. And my foreman just said, hey, Vinny, come out to our job site. And from that point, Vinny was starting to post. And he has the same genuine nature as we do on social media. Because the one thing in branding that doesn't really work, at least now, is look at how cool this product is, come and buy it. I mean, no one really reacts to that type of marketing because you can do that by watching TV and seeing a Home Depot commercial. There's no competitive edge to it. So it's kind of genuinely showing the story and why the product is better, not by saying that it's better, but by showing the use of it. And Vinny really helped do that. So the minute that Vinny saw our first job and heard about what we were doing and how we were using our marketing, our branding, he ended up quitting his job and joining our team and helping us launch the Buildsters as well. And he's kind of brought that influencer side of it to say, hey, we're not trying to sell you anything, but look at us. Look at what we're doing. Look at our guys. Look at the cool jobs that we're doing. And it's a longer cycle. It's not something where you can expect the minute that you post a beautiful before and after that you're just going to convert into customers or a close. But as people follow you and as they see, or they even if they're even remotely halfway outside looking at getting a project done in their house, it's a touch point. It's them seeing this is how they're doing it. Wow, that was quick. Wow, that was cool. Wow, Vinny the Twister's out at their job site. They must be a reputable brand.
I love this dude. I love this dude.
He's incredible. He's a great dude. And that's where the builds just came about. Like I said, then people started to join up. It's a hard conversation because no one wants to change. No one wants to spend. One of our biggest sponsors right now in the Buildsters and partners, they're like a $90 million company. Their total marketing budget year over year was $20,000. I mean, that's all they were spending on their marketing. I don't even know how they did it. I mean, they have a great name around the area, but there's just so much opportunity to be able to compete with the big guys if you are showing that you know what you're talking about in a much more professional way. Because the only reason, and I'm not necessarily knocking Home Depot or Lowe's, but if you walk into a Home Depot or Lowe's, you're going to have a much different experience than if you walk into a local supplier or work with a local contractor, because everyone within these companies knows what they're talking about. You can walk into a Home Depot or Lowe's and you might get the same question answered 3 different times in 3 different ways, and you're kind of left confused and wondering what the right thing to do is, versus people just don't understand how accessible information and people are, or really where to find them, and really how cool it is to shop local and what the experience is going to be like. So people are kind of just jumping on board saying, hey, I want to be the fence contractor that is part of the Buildsters. I want to be the interior remodeler. I want to be the roofing guy. I want to be the block supplier or the lumber supplier of this company, because they see the value in showing why construction's cool. Because there's kind of a stigma that's come up because of how construction's been marketed, that construction's just kind of a dirty space that you're going to get burned in and just go get the cheapest price and get a few bids and then make it transactional and move on to the next project. Where if you find one good contractor that has a good network, you're set for life. I mean, you're set. You can call that person up and they'll help you with anything that you need for as long as you're doing home improvement projects.
Man, this is so good. There's so many pieces here that I hope you're grabbing from what John is saying. Now, because you're so transparent, I got a question for you. I'm gonna go there. Could you walk us through your funnel that actually will help our audience? Because I know I have a couple landscaping clients myself who would love to get an understanding of like top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and bottom of the funnel experience, so that they can say, okay, I got the high level stuff from John. Let me see if I can piece this together myself. And if not, maybe I reach out to John and I get his help.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it comes down, the vetting process. Time is the most valuable thing that we as contractors have in general. So the vetting process starts with building the social presence. Because if someone goes on Yelp and gives you a call and just says, hey, can I get a quote for X, Y, and Z? You have no idea what they want the quote for. They could be a window shopper. They could be serious. They could be just trying to use your quote as leverage to get another contractor they want to use down. So there's no reason why you think that they'd be a serious customer in general. So if you are taking leads from those outside resources, vetting them is the most important part. But the vetting process kind of already starts. So I guess we kind of start our sales process and our marketing funnel at step 2, because people are already qualifying us as a reputable company they want to work with on their project just by following our page and reaching out to us on Instagram to have us come do a quote.
Okay.
So they already know that we're quality.
So top of the funnel would be your social media presence on Instagram. You're putting out behind the scenes stuff. You're putting out before and afters. You're walking people through the job. That's your top of the funnel stuff.
Yep.
That leads now into the middle of the funnel stuff, which is what?
That's all in contracting. It's all the sales experience. So you have someone qualified, make a phone call and make sure that you're giving out enough information to keep them intrigued, okay, but not too much that they're not willing to have you come out and at least give them a diagnosis of what their project is.
So are you taking them to a landing page where they fill out an application or fill out a form, or?
No.
You're not.
No, we actually have you can do that, but that's very easy to waste time by doing that too. And we probably will end up getting there as we get, even bigger than we are, but we always have an actual person reach out and ask questions to make sure that it's it's something that's serious, to make sure that it's not just they want to meet JJ's Landscaping or they want to meet Minnie the Twister. So as soon as that first funnel is taken care of, it goes into a person that knows what they're doing, calling them, and then they're inputting them into our system. So they're filling out, our receptionist is who does it, but she's actually filling out that kind of landing page that you're talking about with the questions that are necessary to be able to go out and actually have an educated consultation where you can figure out if it makes sense for both of us. So you could put in a landing page. You could make it something where you just fill out an appointment, but you're kind of running the risk of wasting a little more time, because it's a harder vet than actually having a conversation with someone and figuring out what they want to get done. Because construction's a little different than just trying to sell a product online, because it's not about volume. It's about the quality of the leads. So taking that little bit extra time to actually have a conversation with someone it makes it so that instead of trying to get 50 jobs that are $1,000 each, you're trying to make it so that you can get 20 jobs that are $20,000 each, because they're the right customer for you. And knowing what kind of customers you want is just as important as getting the jobs, because we've been in the mode where we just take anything that comes our way. And it's a really big rabbit hole where you kind of get behind it and get stuck, and you can't ever really take the time to get to the point where you have this funnel set up and where you are getting the customers that are right for you. So it goes straight to a human experience for us from that first funnel to be able to make sure that we get them into the system, and then managing them through the system it kind of gets out of the marketing stage at that point. When the marketing comes back in is after we go out there for the first call, or after we go out there for what we call the measure call, because that's when the touch points come up. That's when, because a lot of companies go out and try to just sell on the spot. Pressure. Here's a price of $30,000. But if you go forward today, we're going to make it $20,000. And it's kind of just a sales tactic, the car salesman way, where you never really end up happy with the job because you don't really have the full details. So closing on the spot's never really a good idea. And that's where we come back with the touch points and where the Buildsters comes in, because once we present them with the quote, with all the information, then we're putting them immediately into an email marketing cycle where we're sending out educational videos on how a retaining wall is done, or how turf's installed, or how whatever it is from our perspective. And we're sending them newsletters. We're sending them basically little touch points so that as our salesman follows up, it's, hey, did you have a chance to look at the email that we sent of how the retaining wall is installed? Or did you see the newsletter of kind of where we're at this month and how far booked out we are, and what do you want to do? And so those touch points are crucial to be able to make sure that not only you're organized, but also that you're continuing to get people's awareness up of what you're doing after the point of showing how qualified you are, when a salesman goes out and actually gives a proposal and gives an idea of what the job is. Those touch points are crucial, because a lot of times in construction, people come back 6 months later. You might not get the job now. They're just kind of betting it out and getting prepared for it. You get a call 6 months later and you're ready to go. And that call, getting that call or not getting that call may be just the difference of keeping in touch with them. And automating that is something that is very easy to do if you have content and branding and things that you can send out to be able to show that you're a little bit different than the next guy.
That's awesome. So you get inquiries probably off of your Instagram. You then, or a point person then sends that to secretary. Secretary gets on the phone with them, basically pre-qualifies them, gets them to gets the process to a site visit. And now the site visit, you're there explaining the job, I shouldn't say explaining the job, but probably diagnosing the situation and discovering what the person wants.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then making sure, answering all their questions, making a friendship, creating the relationship, talking about the experience, talking about what to expect. And I mean, now that's where you get back to just traditional contracting, what people do best, and getting back into what they know. Because once you're to that point, all you're doing is giving yourself a leg up, because they already know who you are. They're already vetted to the point that you know that they're at least halfway serious, and you can kind of avoid that trust building, which is hard for a lot of people. Unless you're a great salesperson, building that rapport and going through the sales process is difficult. And it's where most jobs are lost if you can't at least build the rapport and show that you're a trustworthy company. So it really just gives you a leg up to get back into the actual contracting business, which is all about the human experience. I don't think that there's ever going to be a time where you can just fully make construction digital, where you can get something sold without actually going out and meeting someone and seeing the lay of the land and getting plans drawn up. It's not possible. So getting it as digital as possible and building the best brand as possible, just to be able to get the leg up so that when you go out there, you don't have to justify as much because people already understand where you're at in the spectrum of just the echelon of contractors.
Would you say that that's the most critical? That's why branding is so important for service-based business like yours?
100%, because we are, at the end of the day, we're a hospitality business. We're not a construction business. It's all about how you take care of people and how you make them feel. And if we were to sell our company tomorrow, we're not the most valuable thing that we have isn't the equipment, isn't the recurring revenue. It isn't any of those things. It's our digital assets and our followers and the people that believe in the JJ's Landscaping brand. I'm going to lead with a sale of the company with, this is how many followers we have. This is what our web traffic looks like. This is what our pipeline looks like. That's more valuable than any job you can get, any recurring job that you can get, any HOA. If you were to offer me $10 million or 1 million followers today, I'll take 1 million followers every single time because it's always actionable.
Aha, there you go. So the power of branding for a service-based business, specifically landscaping, because I hear a lot of people, oh, that sounds like a lot of work. Oh, how am I going to be able to do that consistently? Oh, I don't want to give away my secrets. Right? You've touched on all of these in today's episode, and I'm like, this is why you got to give it away, because I think you keep talking about these touch points and these email sequences that go out and says, hey, look at the retaining wall that we're doing, or look at the the turf project that we're doing. Little do you know, or I think short-sighted people see that as, why would anybody care, right? The long game people see that as, we're going to put this information out in front of people's eyeballs because it's going to show our credibility. It's going to show our professionalism. It's going to show our authority in what we do. And eventually you're going to send that one email out and somebody's going to say, enough is enough. I'm getting on the phone. JJ's is coming over and they're freaking doing this job.
Yeah. I couldn't care less if anyone watches the videos or anything we have in the emails. It's more just keeping in touch and showing that we have all these assets and these resources because it puts you one leg ahead. Well,
dude, I've one of my clients who owns a pretty large landscaping business in town, right? I've seen him. He came through the Brand Accelerator program last year, just the strategy side. He didn't get any of the implementation done, but the strategy alone set this guy on fire. Like, this guy went out and freaking tore it up. Like, his YouTube channel, the way he films jobs, just like you're saying. I mean, watching this guy just like explode on social media and not be afraid to put himself out there and educate and entertain the people at the same time. Like, this guy is, I could see him doing some major things over the next 18 to 24 months because of, basically he's applying what it is that you're saying right now. But how many thousands of other contractors out there, John, do we know are saying, nah, I'm just going to do it the same old way? What do you say to them?
They think it's so hard. Contractors actually have absolutely zero excuse because all of our marketing is being on the jobs that we're already at. So it's not like you have to schedule more time or do different things. You just have to pull your phone out and take a video of a job site that you're already at. So, I mean, it's so easy. It's really the easiest industry to do it in because you're already on your product every single day. And it's a matter of an extra 5 minutes of just taking a quick little shot of the job site and what's going on and what you're doing and how it's being done, and click and send. And you're good to go. The top of the sales funnel, getting that, you could have none of the other touch points. the rest of your process could suck. But if you have at least just that day in the life experience being shown and why you are a credible brand, it takes an extra 5 minutes a day. And it's literally just a matter of creating an account, posting before and afters, posting how everything's done and showing who you are. And you're already a leg up. And then it's just a matter of getting the rest of it set up later on.
Yeah. That's the difference between a low 6-figure landscaping business and a multi-million-dollar landscaping business. It's you guys that are doing that extra work. And there's the differentiator right there. Like, oh, why is JJ's crushing it and we are like sucking wind over here? Well, what are you not doing that JJ is doing? You know, and start diving into that. Now, I got my hands on the pulses of my competition, whether they're direct or indirect, whether they know it or not. I want to see how they're talking to their audience. I want to see the words that they use. I want to see the emails that go out. I want to see all of that. Like, I want to get an idea. I want to see what I'm not doing, right? And how can I put my spin on it? How could I create something that may be better than them in my branding? Right. Yeah. So I think a lot of
competition's beautiful too. I mean, competition within, it's not a bad thing to have competitors that are on the same level as you. It's just a bad thing to compete with guys that aren't on the same level by price because no one else knows who you are.
You know what's really bad? Not having any competition at all.
Exactly.
That's the worst competition to have.
Yeah.
So that's, when somebody comes to me with an idea, I go, all right, who's your competition? Well, we don't have any. That frightens the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to take this project on. Why? Because maybe nobody gives a shit about this type of like nobody cares. That's why you have no competition. So, dude, this has been amazing, bro. Like, I am so happy that we connected because what you dropped today, I've been preaching from the mountaintops for a long time, but to hear somebody in the trenches applying it, seeing the results, talking so openly and transparent about it. You don't get that a lot. And I'm hoping with you on the show, service-based businesses, whether you're a landscaper or a carpenter or you sell info products or coaching or whatever the case may be, there was a lot of huge nuggets that you said that could easily translate, could easily be integrated into those types of businesses. So, John, I want to thank you for spending your time with us today and sharing your journey, sharing the tactical pieces that you guys have been implementing. I want to congratulate you on your success, dude. 4.5 million in a little over a year. Like, that is.
Thank you very much.
That is commendable. So where can people learn more about Buildsters and what you guys got going on over there?
Yeah, I would say, especially if you're not in San Diego, the Buildsters is the best place to kind of follow everything just to get more information. So www.thebuildsters.com is kind of the home for everything. That's where you find the podcast, the content library, but everything else is just at the Buildsters. So TheBuildsters. It's everywhere. So that's where you'll get the nuggets. That's where you'll get the insights, and it can be used just as education. We're not trying to sell you anything. We're just kind of trying to show you what the right way to do it is.
John, thanks again, my brother, for coming on and sharing all of your wisdom, all of your experience, and helping my audience really understand the power of branding and how it could really, really accelerate the growth of your business, both financially, but from a visibility and from a connection standpoint with their ideal client. So, John, thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
You got it.
Hey everyone, this is Henry Kaminsky Jr. again, and really quick, I want to invite you to a one-on-one consult with me right now if you're looking for the clarity and focus you need to build your brand. Over the past 13 years, I've served hundreds of entrepreneurs that have great products but struggled tremendously with articulating its value to their ideal customers. You didn't get into business to just change a few lives, did you? Your ideal clients need you. And when your brand has precision crafted messaging coupled with beautifully thoughtful design that sounds, looks, and feels like you, they'll know you're the perfect match for them. If this is something you're struggling with, what I want you to do right now is pause this audio and go visit www.uniquedesigns with a Z at the end, not an S, .net, and book your one-on-one console call with me. Remember, the quality of your brand will determine the quality of your clients, and the quality of your clients will determine the quality of your life.